What if I told you? There was a time when getting a new pair of shoes for your kids meant blasting their feet with a dose of radiation. It sounds like a joke from a bad sci-fi movie, but it was real. The 1970s were a time of wild innovation, but it was also a time of shocking dangers hiding in plain sight. So if you enjoy learning about the unbelievable things we somehow survived, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button now, because tonight we're diving into 9 inventions from the 70s so dangerous they were eventually banned for good. Shoe-fitting X-ray machines. Remember going shoe shopping as a kid? If you grew up before the mid-1970s, you might have stuck your feet into a strange wooden box with a green screen and seen your very own bones. Welcome to the shoe-fitting fluoroscope, a device that blasted your feet with X-rays to show if your new shoes fit just right. Sounds fancy, right? Well, they were everywhere. In department stores, family shoe shops, even local cobblers. Kids absolutely loved it. Parents trusted it. What no one realized: these machines leaked radiation like a busted microwave, often directly at eye level for children. There were no proper safety regulations, and some models emitted radiation doses 100 times what's considered safe today. It wasn't until the early 1970s that most US states finally started banning them. It was a strange time, when we risked permanent cell damage just to see if our new sneakers were snug. Mercury thermometers. If you were sick in the 1970s, someone probably stuck a long glass stick under your tongue and told you, "Don't bite down." Why? Because that thermometer was filled with liquid mercury, a neurotoxin that, once spilled, could poison your whole kitchen. Mercury thermometers were everywhere. Cheap, accurate, and totally normal, until they broke. Which, let's face it, happened all the time. When one shattered, little silver droplets would roll across the floor like magic. Kids chased them. Adults often ignored them. Ventilation? Hazmat suits? Please. We wiped it up with a paper towel and hoped for the best. Most schools and hospitals began phasing them out in the 1980s, but a formal ban on selling them didn't come until 2001. It was a simple tool for measuring fevers that became a tiny toxic spill event if you dropped it. Lead paint. In the 1970s, lead paint was absolutely everywhere, on walls, toys, furniture, and even cribs. Why? Because it was cheap, vibrant, and incredibly long-lasting. That fire engine red or canary yellow you remember from your childhood bedroom? Yep, probably full of lead. For decades, nobody questioned it. But under that glossy finish was a ticking time bomb, especially for kids. Children exposed to lead, often by chewing on painted surfaces or inhaling dust, faced severe developmental problems, including decreased IQ and behavioral disorders. The government officially banned lead-based paint for residential use in 1978, but by then, millions of homes were already coated in the stuff. The colors were beautiful, no doubt, but so are crayons, and at least we knew not to lick the walls full of those. Leaded gasoline. There was a time when the smell of gasoline meant summer, freedom, and neurotoxins. In the 1970s, leaded gasoline was the norm. Tetraethyl lead was added to improve engine performance and reduce knocking. It worked. But every time you filled up your car, you were releasing airborne lead into the environment. Lead particles settled in soil near highways, playgrounds, and schools. Kids played in it. People breathed it. And the consequences were brutal, especially for developing brains. Studies linked lead exposure to lower IQ in children and even higher crime rates decades later. The EPA began phasing out leaded gas in 1975, but it wasn't fully banned for on-road vehicles in the US until 1996. It's hard to believe we poisoned ourselves daily, just to keep our engines from knocking. DDT pesticide. In the 1970s, DDT wasn't just in your bug spray. It was practically part of the food chain. First introduced in the 40s, DDT was hailed as a miracle pesticide. It wiped out mosquitoes and kept crops clean. But by the early 70s, the miracle had turned into a monster. DDT didn't just kill pests, it stuck around, in soil, in water, in animals. It climbed the food chain, growing stronger with each step. And by the time it reached top predators like our national bird, the bald eagle, it was thinning their eggshells and threatening the entire species with extinction. It wasn't until Rachel Carson's groundbreaking book Silent Spring that public awareness really shifted. The EPA finally banned DDT in the US in 1972. We learned a hard lesson, that killing bugs is one thing, but killing eagles and fish, that's a price too high to pay. Radium dial watches. Glow-in-the-dark watches felt like pure magic. And even into the 1970s, some cheap models still used traces of radium paint to get that glow. But these watches had a dark history. In the 20s and 30s, female factory workers, later known as the Radium Girls, were told to lick their paintbrushes for precision. They were assured the paint was safe. It wasn't. Many developed horrific illnesses. By the 1970s, most Americans were vaguely aware that radiation was bad, but the average person didn't realize their cool new watch might be radioactive. The US government officially banned consumer radium use in watches by the late 1970s. It was a time when your wristwatch didn't just tell you the time, it could also double as a Geiger counter. The Lymide Pills. The Lymide is perhaps one of the darkest pharmaceutical chapters in modern history. Initially released in the late 50s as a remedy for morning sickness in pregnant women, it was hailed as a miracle drug. But within a few years, horrifying consequences emerged. Thousands of babies born with severe limb deformities. In the US, a heroic FDA inspector named Francis Kelsey famously blocked its approval in 1960. That single decision likely spared thousands of American families from that tragedy. By 1970, it was banned for general use in most Western countries, but the scars remained. It was a heartbreaking story of how science failed the people and how the bureaucracy that let it spread was perhaps even worse. Radioactive pacemakers. And finally, in the 1970s, medical innovation was booming and nothing said cutting edge, quite like implanting a nuclear reactor inside your chest. These experimental pacemakers were powered by plutonium-238 props, a radioactive element also used in space probes and nuclear warheads. The logic? Batteries that could last 20 to 30 years without replacement. But there was a small catch. If the pacemaker was damaged in an accident or during cremation, it could release radioactive material. As public concern about nuclear safety grew, production was halted by the mid-1980s. Yes, for a time, people had a literal nuclear end-of-life plan. The idea was certainly futuristic, but it was also a little too Jetsons meets Fallout for the real world. And that's our list. It's a powerful reminder that progress is often a messy and sometimes dangerous road. If you survived the 1970s without glowing, combusting, or coughing up lead dust, consider yourself lucky. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, where we remember the good, the bad, and the just plain bad.